I acquired a very bad fear of amputees. And I find it funny that I use the word acquired because that makes it sound like fear is something you acquire and not something that acquires you. But this fear acquired me in a grocery store. I was at the local Shaw's supermarket with my mom. I was in the produce section just like checking out the tomatoes, and there was this little old lady, very, very hunched over next to me. And I looked down. She had sandals on, but she had no toes whatsoever. It was literally like boxed feet. And I didn't know why it bothered me so much, but it did, and it sent me into a full-blown panic attack. I couldn't stop crying. I thought I was going to pass out. I needed to get out of this store. Of course, my mom didn't know what was going on. I was just in the produce section bawling, and she hustled me out of the store. And I told her, Mom, she had no toes, and I can't go back to Shaw's ever again. That's the natural reaction, right? So the next week, my mom is going to go to the grocery store. She's like, Allie, you're going to Shaw's. And I did not want to go, but she convinced me that everything was going to be fine. She'd look out for amputees for me. So we go to Shaw's, and I'm on hyper alert the whole time. I'm like, there's going to be an amputee in here. There's going to be. And we make it through the entire trip totally fine. And we're in the checkout aisle. And I'm still kind of anxious, but I'm doing okay. My mom's looking around. All of a sudden, she taps me on the shoulder. She's like, Allie, don't turn around. Don't turn around. And like, what do you do when someone tells you don't turn around? You turn around, and there was a lady with no arm, and it turns out she works there and still works there, so like Shaw's haunts me. But after that, I didn't want to go anywhere, because that was 2 times in a row that I left the house and an amputee was there, and I was so afraid. So a couple weeks later, we were on the way home from picking up my brothers from basketball camp, and we were going to stop at Kmart. And I told my mom, we can stop at Kmart, but I'm not going in Kmart, I'm staying in the car. And now my brothers are involved, and they're not understanding why their sister isn't going to go into Kmart. And they're like, Allie, it's fine. You know, like, we'll look out for you, too. You have a whole team behind you, like, looking out for these amputees. So finally, I'm feeling like I'm kind of a burden to my family. And I'm like, all right, well, I will go into Kmart. So it's me and my mom in one aisle, and my brothers are off scanning the store for amputees. And all of a sudden, Tim, my oldest brother, comes peeling around the corner, like, Allie, don't go in aisle 7. Like, Mom, get Allie out of the store. Don't go in aisle 7. So my mom's like trying to hustle me out, and I'm still like looking around, and I see an employee who has 1 arm and 1 leg. And that was it for me. I wouldn't go anywhere after that. So I had to get to therapy, right? Because I'm 8 years old and an 8-year-old won't go anywhere. And so my mom, went through the process of finding me a therapist, and his name was Dr. Dave. He was at the hospital, like the children's hospital in Connecticut, and I don't remember much, but I remember he was very cute, so I didn't mind going to Dr. Dave. I remember he made me draw pictures of amputees, which wasn't helpful, but it was kind of funny. At one point, towards the end of my time with Dr. Dave, I had to go and sit in the prosthetics section of the hospital and just look at amputees, which apparently worked because I was fine. And I wanted to go places again. But I also wasn't fine. And in the years after that, literally everywhere I went, I saw amputees. You know how it's like when you fear what you see what you fear? I saw them everywhere because I was always on hyper alert. And to this day, like, you'll go with me and I'm like, amputee, amputee, amputee. They're everywhere, but nobody else sees them. So a couple years back, I started getting treatment for anxiety. I went to another therapist. And I did EMDR therapy, which is basically memory reprocessing. So the therapist literally goes like this in front of your eyes and gets you into this state of REM sleep. And that is where memories are processed. And one of the things that we were going to process to make me better was this time back when I was 8 years old. And I was afraid of amputees. And some of these memories that came up were ones that were always related to my family. They were of me in my bedroom and my mom downstairs freaking out, like desperately trying to find me a therapist, her 8-year-old daughter in her bedroom who won't go anywhere. It was me at an amusement park laying on a bench because there was an amputee and I couldn't walk around anymore. It was me not being able to go out to breakfast with my dad. And it was terrible. But one memory that kept coming back in this reprocessing was a memory toward the end of my time with Dr. Dave. And I was at home one night, and I don't know if you guys remember her, but there was a surfer years back who had her arm bit off by a shark. And there was an article, and she was on the front page of ESPN. And I was getting better, and I wanted to get better. And so that, we always had ESPN delivered, and I was staring at this picture of a girl with no arm. And I turned around, I was in my house,